On the night the bride arrived, the village well stopped reflecting the moon. No one noticed at first. Weddings in Chandipur always swallowed the attention of everyone, the music, the lights, the laughter spilling out into the narrow lanes. But if someone had looked closely into the old stone well near the banyan tree, they would have seen only darkness staring back, as if the water had decided not to remember the sky anymore. Arav noticed the silence before he noticed anything else. He was standing near the edge of the crowd, holding a tray of sweets, watching strangers celebrate like family. As a volunteer from the nearby town, he had come to help with arrangements, chairs, food, guiding guests. It was simple work, the kind that kept his hands busy and his thoughts quiet. He preferred that. The bride had not yet stepped out. Inside the old haveli, oil lamps flickered along the walls, their flames trembling as though a wind passed through rooms with no windows open. The Dulhan sat alone on a carved wooden bed, her red veil covering her face, heavy with embroidery and tiny mirrors. Her bangles were still, too still. Arav had not meant to see her. He had been asked to carry water inside when the power briefly went out, and in the confusion, he took a wrong turn. That was when he saw her, sitting perfectly straight, hands folded in her lap, like a statue dressed for a wedding. "Are you all right?" he asked gently, from the doorway. The bride did not move. For a moment, he thought she hadn't heard him. Then, slowly, she turned her head in his direction. Beneath the veil, something shifted, like a shadow rearranging itself. "Yes," she said. Her voice was calm, too calm. It echoed slightly, as if the room were larger than it appeared. Arav nodded, embarrassed, and placed the water pot near the door. As he turned to leave, he noticed something odd. Her feet, visible beneath the edge of the lehenga, were bare and dusted with ash, not the usual crimson alta of a bride. He said nothing. Outside, the drums resumed, louder than before, chasing away the brief darkness. Arav told himself it was nothing, old houses, long days, imagination filling gaps it had no business filling. But the well remained dark. As the night deepened, whispers began to move through the guests. Someone said the air felt heavy. Someone else said the lamps were burning faster than usual. An old woman muttered prayers under her breath and refused to sit facing the haveli. Arav found himself drawn back toward the inner courtyard. The bride was supposed to come out soon. The groom waited nervously, adjusting his turban again and again. Yet minutes stretched, and no one went inside to check. Finally, Arav did. This time, the room was colder. The Dulhan stood by the window now, veil still drawn, looking out at the courtyard that buzzed with life. She seemed distant, like she was watching something far away. "They're waiting for you," Arav said softly. "I know," she replied. "But before that, may I ask you something?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Do you believe kindness is remembered?" she asked. The question caught him off guard. "I think people remember how you make them feel," he said after a moment. "Even if they forget everything else." She turned toward him slowly. "That's good," she said. "That means I am not entirely gone." A chill crept up his spine. Before he could respond, a woman burst into the room, the bride's aunt, breathless and pale. "There you are," she said, grabbing the bride's arm. "Everyone is waiting." For just a second, as the aunt's fingers closed around the bride's wrist, Arav saw something impossible. The skin beneath the bangles looked cracked, like dry earth. Then the bride stepped forward, and the illusion vanished. The procession began. As the Dulhan walked through the courtyard, the noise softened. Conversations died mid-sentence. Some guests felt an inexplicable sadness, others a strange comfort, like remembering a forgotten lullaby. The bride's veil shifted with no wind. Arav walked behind, carrying a lamp. With every step she took, the flame bent toward her, drawn like a living thing. Halfway to the mandap, she stopped. "I need a moment," she said. The priest frowned. The groom looked confused. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The bride turned, not to her family, not to the groom, but to Arav. "You helped when you didn't have to," she said, her voice carrying clearly. "Will you help once more?" Arav swallowed. "What do you need?" She lifted her veil just enough for him to see her face. It was beautiful, and wrong. Her eyes were deep, endless, holding centuries of grief and hope tangled together. Her skin glowed faintly, like moonlight through fog. "I was a bride once," she said quietly. "Long ago. I waited here. I was forgotten." Images flooded Arav's mind. Fire, betrayal, a wedding that never finished, kindness offered too late. "I don't want revenge," she continued. "I only want to be seen, and to give what I still have." She reached out, placing her palm over his heart. Warmth spread through him, not fear, not pain, but a profound understanding. He felt her loneliness, her patience, the small acts of kindness she had protected over generations, waiting for someone who would listen. Around them, the guests watched in stunned silence. Some wept without knowing why. The bride turned back to the groom. "You will live a good life," she said kindly. "But it will not be with me." Slowly, she stepped back. The lamps flared brightly, then steadied. The air lifted, lighter now. The well, far away, reflected the moon again. Where the Dulhan had stood, there was only a soft red veil, folded neatly on the ground. No one screamed. The groom knelt, unsure why tears ran down his face. The priest closed his eyes. The old woman by the banyan tree smiled faintly. Arav picked up the veil. It felt warm. The wedding did not continue, but neither did it end in fear. People shared food, held each other, spoke more gently than before. Strangers listened. Old grudges softened. As dawn approached, Arav walked to the well. He looked down. For a moment, he thought he saw her reflection, smiling, peaceful. Then the water rippled, and it was only his own face staring back, changed somehow.